All right, primetime slates that have been announced. We have obviously we discussed already, Cowboys-Eagles, the season opener. We have the Eagles, who I think are only playing primetime games this year, apparently. They got a Monday nighter, November 10th, against the Packers in Lambeau.
Oh.
We have the Friday night game post Thanksgiving.
We get
Bears-Eagles.
We get Herb Street
the Black
and
Friday.
Al Michaels.
Oh, the dynamic duo on the call.
Dynamic.
Then our Christmas game this year is Broncos-Chiefs. Remember that thriller that was Steelers-Chiefs last year? That one's on Amazon Prime, not the Netflix game. I'm not sure. I believe there's a Netflix game again this year. Haven't been announced yet, though. And then a couple others that have been announced. We got the Packers at Bears Saturday night game before Christmas, and the Eagles at Commanders Saturday game as well, the one before Christmas. So
I might be able to. You and I might be able to go to this Bears-Eagles game Friday, November 28th.
Oh, right after.
And you know who else probably wants to go to that game? My brother Chris. I think it's a great opportunity maybe to cross-pollinate podcasts. We can do a little Bo Allen, Chris Long, Mike Renner, Kyle Long. We can have some fun. Bears-Eagles. You're the neutral party here. You can talk, get down to brass tacks. It'll be a lot of fun.
I can mediate. I can be like Qatar.
Because Chris, he just like little bros me, and he big brain little bros me. So you could be there to kind of defend me in a cerebral sense, which would be really good.
Perfect. Let's do it. I would love to go. I've never been to a game at the Link. So
and Caleb Williams, Ben Johnson get an opportunity to go and prove themselves on the road. This part of the season, this is where meaningful football happens. Two teams that could potentially see each other in the playoffs. I mean, what more can you ask for from a football standpoint? I think that the Black Friday, November 28th game, the Christmas game, Broncos-Chiefs is awesome. And I have this theory. I think that every time that a team plays on Christmas, one of those two teams should either be predominantly red or predominantly green. Okay? It's just like
they got to wear the red.
I'm going for the aesthetics. And then
in the holiday spirit.
Just makes sense to me.
All right, let's hand out some superlatives for these games, and then let's get out of here. Most excited to watch of these primetime matchups. Which one tickles your fancy?
For me, it's got to be the Friday game. Bears going to Philly. There is no more hostile environment than the Philadelphia stadium, whatever the hell they call it, the Link, the whatever. Mm-hmm. I hated playing there. Okay. And I had bad experience. My rookie year, we went there. We lost by like 45 points to Chip Kelly. It just felt like it was a never ending drumming. The Bears have an opportunity to rewrite history. That's one that I'm extremely excited about. And then obviously, there's some other ones in there, but for me, the Bears-Eagles is the one that I'm looking forward to the most.
I'm looking forward to Broncos-Chiefs because it's end of the season. Christmas Day, only a few weeks left. So it'll be major, in my opinion, implications as to who's coming out of the West. And I think those are your top two teams right now. The Chargers are spunky, right? I think if you just go position group by position group, they are less talented than the Broncos and the Chiefs. The Broncos truly might be the most talented team in that division. This is a good roster at this point in time. One of the best, at least on the defensive side, probably the best in the NFL at the moment. So I think that game has massive implications. So that one, to me right now, is the most excited. What matchup is the most likely to be a dud?
Cowboys-Eagles week 1.
It's Cowboys-Eagles week 1. It just is.
That's got to be it. I mean, we're going to learn a lot about the Cowboys positionally, position groups. But I think what we're going to glean most from that game is that the Cowboys are not ready to compete with the Eagles.
The Eagles lost a lot, right? They lost a lot defensively. They lost a lot from a defense that was the best defense in the NFL down the stretch. It was so dominant that you can lose some and still be scary, especially when two of your biggest impact guys were rookies. Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean. Those guys will only get better. Guys like Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, they'll only get better. They're only improving at this point in their careers. So there are reasons to think that they can absorb and still play at a similar level to where they did last year, those losses that they had.
Coaching matters too, Mike.
Yes. And that's what I was going to say. I worry about the fact that the Dallas Cowboys defense is still not built to stop the run. Those second-level defenders are small. This defensive line is not very powerful. It is not one that matches up well against the Eagles' offensive line. And when you don't match up well against the Eagles' offensive line, you just get leaned on.
Remember last week, the viral thing on X was 100 men versus a gorilla?
Mm-hmm.
It could look like that for the Cowboys, okay? When Landon Dickerson, the white gorilla, rolls out there and just leans on you at 360 pounds, you better be hitting your squats all summer, buddy, okay?
Most meaningful matchup that carries the most weight.
For me, it's Eagles-Bills. Because if the Bills handle business against the reigning Super Bowl champs, there is a real aura that you can soul suck a little bit. You can take that Eagles, the juju off of them and put it on yourself. And for the Bills, year in, year out, with their quarterback and with their style of play, their offensive line, they've got a chance to make a run at the Super Bowl. But it's always one or two things that end up happening in the playoffs where they shoot themselves in the foot. This, I think, gives them real confidence heading into the postseason. If the Eagles get handled by the Bills, it could be that shot in the arm that they need.
I think it's any of those Christmas week matchups. Broncos, Chiefs, Packers at Bears, Eagles at Commanders. It's kind of this, stretch run. This is kind of the start of it. Those are all teams that in divisional matchups that could be deciding, jockeying for a position at the top or, second in the division and wild card. I do think all those games are going to likely meet the most of all these teams. So obviously the Bears, I believe, are the only one in the announced primetime games that didn't make the playoffs last year. Which team is the most likely to fail to meet their high expectations?
The answer to that question to me is the Washington Commanders.
Oh.
And the reason I say that is because I don't think it's for a lack of talent or, I think Jaden Daniels is a special quarterback. I think Dan Quinn does an incredible job of instilling a culture into his football team that makes them punch up. They punched up all year last year. They won in miraculous fashions a number of times last year. So the only reason that I say the Commanders is because their ride was so magical last year. It's hard to bottle that. It's hard to string it together. And I think that the expectations for the Commanders are so very high because of where they finished last season. Had they not had that magical run in the postseason and they just, they made the playoffs, maybe lost week one, they wouldn't be on my list. But people have NFC Championship, Super Bowl, or bust type expectations for the Commanders. I could totally see them getting to an NFC Championship, riding the back of the guy who wears the cape and Jaden Daniels. But the team's got some room to grow here before we can say that they truly are a powerhouse.
All right. Yeah, I just think the Commanders are so well schemed on both sides of the ball right now for the talent they have. They made so many plays this offseason. And I think I said the other day, they feel like they're even Jaden Daniels injury proof in having Marcus Mariota and how he looked last year. So I think they'll at least
play
be a
some
playoff
defense
team,
on the back end.
But their expectations are sky high, right? Their expectations have to go to the NFC Championship game. That was almost, I don't want to say it was the worst thing that happened to them, but that set expectations almost too high now for this Commanders team. Because the slow progression that happens for young quarterbacks, now you're not even expecting that. Now it's like Super Bowl or bust.
I'll put it to you
you
like
already
this.
made the championship game.
We all really liked Toy Story. It was a magical ride. It was well written. The characters were great. Leadership, top notch. Woody, Buzz Lightyear was great. I wasn't a fan of Toy Story 2. And it wasn't because Toy Story 2 wasn't a fantastic movie. It was because Toy Story was so good that I'm measuring everything else up against Toy Story. And, I brought my daughter to Moana 2 a few months ago in the theaters. It was her first time in the movie theater. She loves Moana, the original Moana. She was looking at me the whole time like, this isn't Moana. I was like, yeah, it's Moana 2. It's the second iteration. And it was her first real taste of really what I'm talking about with the Commanders. So good year one with Jaden Daniels. Such a magical ride. Tough to replicate that.
That's what an analogy. And it is true. It's like you got, if you would have just been a first round exit last year, Commanders fans would have been happy.
They would have been happy, and they would have said, we're going to be that again or better.
We're to be championship game this, and you go to the championship game this year, you're happy as hell. But if you go to the championship game this year where you're a second round exit or whatever, all of a sudden it's like you don't feel as good. Your expectations are a little higher than I think the talent that roster. So I like that take. My answer to this question is going to the Kansas City Chiefs, not because the Kansas City Chiefs are going to stop being the Kansas City Chiefs. It's because the rest of the West is finally a real division. We did this a couple of years ago, right, when they got Russell Wilson, when we thought there was like super teams. Those people were saying, is this the best division of football? But the thing is, they didn't have the coaching staffs back then. They didn't have what we have now in Pete Carroll, Jim Harbaugh, Sean Payton. Like that is the best coaching staff division in football. I don't even think that's like a hot take, just with the rings and the success that all those guys have had throughout their careers. So it's a real division where every single game now, and now the Raiders aren't, obviously, they're still a tier behind, but like every single game is a real game. You're not just going to cakewalk to 6 wins. So I think a 10, 11 win season is in the cards. A wild card could even be in the cards here for the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I'm just saying they are the most likely, because where they get a lot better from last year, maybe their receiving core. Where they fall off, you see a lot of safety on defense, defensive tackle on defense. They had a couple losses. And then where are everyone else in that division going? Well, the Broncos arrow is pointing up. The Raiders just got Geno Smith. I do just think that this division, all of a sudden, it became difficult. And when you're a difficult division, it's just hard to maintain year-on-year success.
And you talked about the Raiders. They got better. They're not great yet. But I'll say this. With Chip Kelly in the building, with Pete Carroll in the building, the culture will be polar opposite from what we've seen over the course of the last, half decade for the Raiders. The silver and black are yearning for a winner. I think Pete Carroll is the juice, the shot in the arm that this group needs. Even if they are under-talented, they still got talent. They've got the quarterback. They've got the running back. The offensive line. The offensive line was sitting there like, can some playmakers show up for us? Because we're out here blocking the hell out of people. Defensive line solid. I think that they are built to be able to bleed out siege warfare, some of these opponents in the division in the AFC West. And to your point, the Chiefs, they got a little bit better, but you look around and the tides have swelled for the Los Angeles Chargers and for the Denver Broncos. No question about that. So that AFC West is going to be an absolute bar fight. Can't wait to watch it.